Frontline with Courtney Kenny, and I'm Tom Parisi, and today we got a great set of guests.
It's another special episode of the Frontline podcast. I'm Tom Parisi, he's Courtney Kenny, and we are rejoined by veteran of the show, Nick Paul of the Ottawa Senators, and his teammate, and twice you can say that, Mike Amadio, the newest Ottawa Senator and one of the best North Bay Battalion players we ever got the privilege of seeing. Mike, we are so happy you're on the show, but I got to ask you, what was it like to score your first ever goal against the Maple Leafs?
It was pretty cool. It was actually my first shift of the game too. So it was my first game at Staples Center in LA, first shift against the Leafs. So everyone back home was watching, which was nice. I got a few texts from friends and family after the game.
Awesome stuff. Do you remember what kind of shot? Do you remember the whole play, or is it just kind of a blur nowadays?
No, I remember it. I just came off the bench too. And I think Toronto was trying to go for like a regroup or something. And then I think the D-man like heel picked. And I think Pierce picked up the puck, and then I almost had just like a mini breakaway. And then I was trying to go, I think, high glove, but it ended up going 5-hole. And
hey,
yeah,
goal's a goal.
Yeah.
Well, so let's fast forward now to a couple of weeks ago. You guys were teammates on the Battalion, probably two of the most popular players that have ever played in North Bay. Talk about both your reactions to the trade that Mike was coming to Ottawa.
Yeah, I was excited once I heard the news and kind of texted him right away. And, I'll let Mike speak on his feeling of coming, but I was definitely excited, and, felt the chemistry was still there from that one season we had. And we got lucky enough to play a couple shifts together that one time. And, but yeah, we were excited, and I know Mike's an unbelievable player, and I was excited for his opportunity here.
I'm excited for the opportunity in Ottawa. I mean, it's nice to have a friendly face that from junior with Nick being here. So, like he said, he texted me right away. We got to talking a little bit. So, I'm excited to be here. It's a great group of guys, and they're all really nice and made me feel like I've been here the whole year.
Now, of course, it's not a normal year. You alluded to just before we recorded, being stuck in a hotel and all that stuff. What was the quarantine like? Like, was it not? I assume it's not fun.
No, it's pretty boring. You're trapped in your hotel room the whole time. Just got TV, Xbox. That's pretty much all you can do.
Did they give you any kind of like workout plan or something like that, like for the hotel room?
They did have a gym set up for us, so we were allowed like certain times in there for maybe like an hour a day. So I got a little bit of that, but other than that, you're still spending the majority of your days in your hotel room, confined, not doing too much.
When you had to head down to LA to start the season, was there any sort of quarantine to get in there too as well?
Yeah, there was a 10-day quarantine we had to stay in a hotel for as well. Yeah.
Double whammy. So let's talk about you mentioned Nick, you mentioned the game that you guys got to play a couple of shifts together. Was it just kind of like, a seamless fit? Felt like no time had passed whatsoever?
Yeah, for sure. It felt real good. You even made a play. We almost scored. I just missed that one by a little bit, but went to the bench. We were laughing after. We were talking about how the fans must have liked that play and just joking around like that.
You guys have been on a roll too, Nick. I mean, demolishing Vancouver, it seems, left, right, and center. What makes Ottawa so hard to play against?
I think we've just really come together as a team right now. We kind of figured out what style works for us, and we're really playing together, playing for each other. There's no selfishness in our game right now. For example, if we're in the offensive zone and we're hemming them in and we're getting shots, we have them tired. Now we're changing, we're getting fresh guys out, and now we're scoring on those opportunities and keeping those tired D on the ice. And I feel like that's huge when you're playing for one another and you're not playing for your own points, you're just playing for a team win and 2 points. It's huge. Everyone's back checking, getting the D zone, and it's creating more offense because they're turning it over. So I just really feel like we're playing together as a team right now. We're playing for each other. And just the confidence and the excitement is there.
One big update for yourself as well, since we had you on back in February, is now it's a sight the Battalion fans got to see for the entire second year that you were here, but now you're wearing an A on your jersey. What's that like?
It's good. Obviously, super excited and honored to wear the A, and a little proud moment when the first time it was on my jersey, but it's just the same way for me. Not going to change anything just because there's a letter on my jersey. I still stay hard working, trying to push everyone every day and try to lead by example.
Did they talk to you about it, or does it just show up on your jersey one day?
DJ grabbed me before it was on and just kind of told me like, hey, you've been working hard, you've been up and down, and you stuck through, and every day you come to the rink and push guys to be better. And I believe you deserve this letter. So it was kind of nice having that talk with him and kind of just that first game with the letter on my jersey.
Mike, we kind of asked Nick this when he was on the first time, why he's wearing 13. So why'd you pick 29 when you went to the Sens? Obviously 18's taken by a pretty good player. So
yeah, 18 was taken. And then I wore 19 growing up as a kid, and then that was taken. And then all my pretty much first choices were taken. So I like the number 9, and just to have the 9 somewhere on my jersey was nice. So that's why I went with 29. There's no significant meaning behind it.
Campbell, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a time where you, Jake Smith, and I forget who else went ice fishing and something happened?
No, I never went.
That story for us. No?
No, we went fishing a couple times, just when it was like in the spring or whatever, but I never went with them when they went ice fishing.
Because word on the street is Jake Smith's a little bit skittish of the size of fish.
Well, yeah, I went fishing with him a couple times in the spring, and he was, me and him were actually both afraid to like touch the fish we caught. So we would just like hold the line and bring the fish into the boat.
Well, we heard from Nick the last time he was on that he wasn't afraid to touch any of the fish. So,
and you're from Northern Ontario. What's wrong?
I know. I never grew up fishing or anything, but I like going. It's peaceful out there. But yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't like the feeling of like the scales, I guess, on fish.
That's fair. How crazy was it to share a stadium with the Clippers and the Lakers at the same time?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We don't really see much of them because the schedule is pretty balanced the way it is. Obviously, balancing whatever 4 teams that are in there, 3 teams. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's they put on a good show down there at Staples, and they know how to accommodate all the people.
How was life in Los Angeles? I mean, that's a heck of a change going from North Bay to LA.
Yeah, it was a bit of a culture shock at first going there. But you kind of just ease into it. I mean, it was a nice place to live. Obviously, you have everything right there that you need. It was fun for sure.
So back to your draft, I remember it was you and Kyle Wood in the 3rd round or whichever, pretty close to one another. What was that kind of like when you saw your name? You're going to the LA Kings. What was your first reaction?
I was just excited to get drafted. I mean, it was an unbelievable experience. I had my whole family there. It just ended up being LA, and it was a great place to play, and they gave me a chance to come into the league. So, but yeah, Woody went, I think, a couple picks before me, and then we went to this like room under the stadium just to like take pictures or whatever. We both like saw each other, like just so happy for one another, just gave each other a big hug, so that was a pretty cool experience to have him there with me.
So let's I was talking around and I said to a couple of guys, obviously, if you remember them, Matt Sukram and whatnot, I was saying, all right, we got any good Nick Paul and Mike Amadio stories here before we go on the podcast that we can share. And Nick Seuss, I don't know if you remember him as well, but he told me to ask Nick about a 2-for-1 pizza incident. So I don't know what that means. He was as vague as he possibly could. I don't even know if you remember it, but he told me to ask you about it. So
2-for-1 pizza incident. I don't know. You have any other?
Throw me for a loop.
Yeah, I have no idea. He just said, ask him. He will know. Apparently not. So it's all good.
Must have been that good then.
Maybe, I don't know. It's been a while. I do like a little pizza now and then, though.
Yeah,
How much? That's always wanted to ask. How much does your diet change from junior to professional hockey?
It changes a lot. I know, like in junior, you're not making as much money if the billet families, obviously, but for lunches and everything, you go out, you're grabbing something that's cheap that you can afford. It's like McDonald's, Subway. And then when you go to professional, you start getting a little more money. So you're going, well, for me anyways, I like all the organics and spending it on healthy food and proper meats and everything. So I think that's what changed mostly for me, is just having the money to fuel my body properly. And junior, you're just, after school, you're going to McDonald's, just grabbing the junior chicken for $1 and going on your way. So yeah, now and especially getting older too, like you start feeling the effects of it a little more. So I don't know, just for me, fuel's a big thing.
Emma, when's the last time you had just had like cheat food, burger, fries, something fun?
Yeah, it's been a little bit. Obviously, you got to take care of your body during the season, but after a good skate or a good game, you kind of treat yourself sometimes. So I'd say, yeah, it's been a little bit for me, but yeah.
How tough is it to go and get a junior chicken and then go out and play 3-period long hockey game?
Probably wouldn't be easy. Probably have a little stomach ache. Probably burping up.
Yeah,
but yeah, probably wouldn't be ideal.
You ever see guys leave the bench to have to go to the bathroom? I've always wondered if anybody's ever had to do that.
I've not experienced that, no.
No, I haven't either. You can hold it a little bit till the end of the period.
I mean, it's not a terribly long time to wait, right? So
no,
depends.
I don't know, man. If you've got an evacuation happening, I mean, wasn't it Roberto Luongo in the playoffs once? He left during overtime because he had the trots or something like that.
I don't
like the super backup. Crazy stuff.
That would suck even more as a goalie. You got more stuff to take off.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine.
No, I mean, again, like it's not that long a time unless you have Nick Paul out there throwing fists with Travis Hamonic last night. So
we saw that.
Yeah, let's if we can. I know we talked about this just before we started again, but like, just what's going through your mind at the NHL level when you start throwing fists with a guy?
I feel like it's the same as always. We played Vancouver a lot of times. It's rough hockey games, lots of hitting and chirping and cross-checking. It's just kind of one of those things. It happens, and you the adrenaline hits, and you're not really thinking, and next thing you know, it's over. So nothing really going into it. It's just one of those where the wires touch, and the adrenaline pumps up.
Well, Mike, how nice is it to play somebody that's not from out west? You get a change of pace with some different teams for a change.
Yeah, it was a little weird at first, but there's a lot of good teams in this division. So a little change of pace was nice. But it's good hockey. So it's a lot of fun to be out there playing.
Obviously you can't, it's tough to really have family and friends around right now, but you're playing hockey. You're from Sault Ste. Marie. You're playing hockey in Ottawa. What's it like to play so close to home?
It's awesome. Yeah. My family doesn't have to wait up till midnight to watch a game anymore. They just watch at normal time. So, that's nice for them. I actually have a couple cousins that live in Ottawa now too. So I haven't seen them yet, but, it's just nice to know that like they're close and I have, that outlet.
That's the thing with us on the eastern side. We don't, a lot of us don't stay up to watch the Kings games, and I watch a lot of Anaheim games because I've been a fan for a long time. But talk about that rivalry between like the Ducks and Kings. Is it bigger than we know it is?
I think so. Yeah, I think even at the American League level, you play those guys, and then you guys like all filter up to the NHL level. So you've been playing against those guys for a long time, and that rivalry's there, and it's big. It's definitely not a lot of people know about it on the East Coast, probably because they don't stay up as much. But I'd definitely say that the Kings versus Ducks is a big rivalry for sure. Yeah.
Nick, we talked about the Battle of Ontario beforehand, but is there a team in the division, maybe not Toronto, but is there a team in the division that just gets under your skin when you play against them? Obviously, Vancouver last night, but is there just like that team that just gets your blood boiling?
Not boiling, but I'd probably say Edmonton. We didn't beat them all year, and that kind of really frustrated us, and we really wanted to beat them, but just came up short this season. So I'd probably say Edmonton for sure.
Mike, in your limited experience here in the Northern Division so far, is there that team for you yet in the 4 games you've gotten into?
Not yet personally, no, but I know the guys, like Paulie said, Edmonton was a team we would have liked to beat, but fell short this year.
Do you guys ever have like a welcome to the NHL moment? Like, shit, I'm on the ice at Staples Center at Scotiabank Place, and what am I doing here? Has that ever happened?
My first game was in Montreal at the Bell Center as a sold out crowd. So when I was listening to the anthem, I got a chance to like look up and look around, and that was kind of the moment for me where I was like, okay, I'm here.
Yeah, I feel like your first year in the league, you start going to these stadiums, especially without COVID, they're packed, and you're kind of just there for the anthem, and you're just like, oh my God, like this is crazy. Like Winnipeg, when the whole stadium shouts, I mean, it's just during the anthem, and it's just, you're sitting there like, oh my God, like been dreaming about this, been thinking about this, and then you're here and you're like, you're on the big stage.
We had Bill.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say we had Bill Holder on, and he said his first shift was against the Edmonton Oilers in the 80s, and his first shift was 4-on-4 against Wayne Gretzky and Yari Curry and Kevin Lowe and Paul Coffey. And he said his shift lasted maybe 3 seconds, and that was his welcome to the NHL moment. He was like, I don't want to be out here against those guys. So go ahead, Tom.
I forgot. Doesn't matter.
Well, Mike, we got to ask. So you're from Sault Ste. Marie. Tom lives in Sault Ste. Marie. You got any good? He's relatively new to the area. You got any good places for him to check out to see?
Like restaurant wise?
Anything.
Well, can't really do much right now because COVID. But in the summers, it's actually a really nice spot to be, right on the water. There's a couple restaurants that have patios that overlook the water. So it's a nice spot. I go back every summer. That's where I train and work out. So it gets pretty snowy in the winter, though. I know that.
That it does. Shoveling was not fun. So I was about to ask, how often do you guys get to go home and just kind of relax? Or is there ever a time to relax?
Yeah, days off. You just got to go in and test, but days off is the one day, just kind of sit back and throw the legs up and let them heal a little bit.
How many COVID tests have you guys had, do you think? Can you count? Or is it too many?
Every day of the season so far.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
So
How
however
about-
many days that's been.
What did you have to get tested every day in quarantine as well, Mike?
Yeah. Every day since probably like the end of November is when I went to LA.
Does it get better with time, or does it still suck just as much?
It still sucks just as much.
I've only had 2, and I complained at both of them. So
Yeah, I had one. It wasn't my favorite. What do you guys say we take it back to some North Bay days? I want to get your take, Mike, on being named captain of the team in your last year. Talk about that process and what happened that day.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was just kind of like a team meeting. We were all in the room, and then the coaches came in. And I don't think we knew what the meeting was about or anything. So Stan just started talking, and then he started with the naming the assistant captains, and then he finished off with giving me the C, and it was an awesome experience. I mean, all the guys were great that year. It was a fun team, and it was just to be like a leader like that. It was a pretty special experience.
That last year you wore the green and white, you know, putting 50 goals on in the net, which up until Justin Brazeau a couple of years ago, you know, you were the only guy to have hit that mark. We had Matt Santos on, and he said if he wasn't playing with you, you would have had about 60 or 70 goals that year.
If I was playing with him? No,
if he wasn't playing with you. He said he probably took away some of your goal totals a little bit.
No. Sans was a good have. He was we were line mates the whole year. It was us, and then it almost felt like we had a lot of different left wingers, but no, it was awesome to have him on my line. He created a lot of space for me, running around, throwing body checks and big hits. So
I think you started out with Zach Bertina on that line too, and then unfortunately things happened with him because he started off on fire. That was just crazy. I think he had 12 goals in as many games or something like that. So
yeah, he had a hot start to the year.
So what's it like at that time? You know, you hit the 50 goal mark. You're the first Battalion player to do it. Like, take us through that.
Yeah, I think I got it in my second last game against Sudbury. I was trying not to think about it too much, obviously, but when you're that close, it's hard not for a thought to come in your mind, like, hey, you're right there. But no, it was pretty cool. I mean, all the guys were really happy for me, and it was something I'll never forget for sure.
Scoring it against Sudbury. I was just going to say, scoring against Sudbury must have been, even extra special on that one too.
Yeah, I was in Sudbury, and actually, I think there was quite a few North Bay fans there.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you have more than one goal in that game too?
I think I just had the one that game.
Just the one? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm seeing some vague video in my brain. Doesn't matter. Either way, I mean, playing in front of North Bay, we asked Nick when he was on the first time about this, but I like getting every player's just sense of what it was really like playoff time in that building. Like, what were your feelings?
Well, yeah, we were lucky enough. The first 2 years we made it pretty far in the playoffs, and it was a lot of fun. The fans were so loud. It doesn't matter like what was going on in the game. They were just like screaming, shouting, whatever. And it helps us as a team, to build energy off them. So it was a lot of fun to play in front of those fans.
What's it like nowadays for both of you when there are no fans? How do you guys get that extra jolt? And I know fake crowd noise isn't going to do it. So what do you do?
Just guys on the bench. I mean, whether it is whoever it is, you just kind of got to lift each other up, whether it's a big hit or someone makes a nice pass, just let them know. And just making noise on the bench.
Yeah, there's really nothing. It's the fake crowd noise helps a little bit just because it's gives some noise to the arena. But other than that, like you said, like Mod said, it's just your own guys hyping you up off big shot, big hit, nice pass, or whatever it may be.
Feels like playing beer league where all you guys, the guys on the bench watching.
A little bit more skilled, but
much more.
Nick, so we obviously just talked to Mike about being named captain, but you getting the alternate the year prior, what was that experience like? Same kind of situation, or?
Yeah, it was awesome. Just kind of happened. Everything when I was younger just kind of happened so quick. I didn't make the OHL my first year, then made the OHL and then got drafted and then named captain. It was just everything kind of happened so quick. So it was just one of those where it was just kind of there, I was super pumped, and I was excited to be a leader and excited to try and help the team go as far as we could. And we had a great bunch of guys, and they even passed on when Amo took over as captain and led there. But those years in the OHL with those group of guys was awesome.
How tough is it? And, maybe being a scorer at the lower level and whatnot, and then coming in and your first couple of years, you're going to be a bottom six guy. What's that kind of like at the OHL level where you're used to being a guy for both of you to put the puck in the net, and here you're asking to check and block shots and maybe play 10, 15 minutes a night?
Yeah, it's different. And the best piece of advice I got my first year, someone told me, is you have to understand, like, everyone was a superstar where they came from. It's all the best players. It's not just you're going to come here and all of a sudden you're going to put up 30 goals or whatever it may be. It's everyone, like every person you're competing against did that in their league. So you got to take that and really understand the game and not get too frustrated when things aren't going in or going your way. You just got to kind of stay the course.
I got some trade questions to ask you fellas. First, Mike, I want to start with you. What was the experience like of being traded? Did you know it was happening, and how much did you have to uproot?
It came as a surprise to me. They have a lot of young, like everywhere has a lot of young guys coming in. So it's just one of those things, I guess. But the trade still came as a little bit of a surprise. And I think I got a call at like 2:30 maybe. And I was off to the airport at 5 a.m. So I had to pack up everything in half a day.
So what do you do? Like, do you ship it all? Do you haul it? You can't drive across the country, but how'd you get your crap over?
No, I packed. I took the majority of my stuff with it. Obviously, I couldn't fit everything. So I got my roommate to ship some stuff home for me. And then I just paid him back for that, yeah. So it wasn't too complicated.
Obviously, with you, Nick, it was a little bit easier because you're still in junior at the time, I imagine.
Yeah, what's that like? You got drafted to one team, traded to another without even putting on a Stars jersey. So did it change anything, or what's the conversation like?
I know it was a big trade at the time for Jason Spezza and us going over there, and I only got one training camp with Dallas, and then I'm shipped over to Ottawa. But it was exciting. Everyone was super nice. I came in right at camp, I remember, and just jumped right into it. Everyone was, like I said, everyone was nice. Everyone was obviously the hardest thing is learning everyone's name right off the bat, but you're kind of seeing everyone. Everything's happened so quick, but it was a good transition, and obviously exciting when you're traded, or you know that you have opportunity to show. So it was just exciting.
Learning everyone's name for you, Mike, when you first come in, is it a little bit easier through quarantine? You can kind of chat with the guys through text or whatever first, or is it when you walk into the dressing room, still that same thing? You're trying to figure it all out.
A little bit of both. Yeah. I got a few texts in quarantine, but still just putting faces to names is the next part. And it's a little tricky sometimes. Yeah. There's a lot of players, a lot of staff. So there's a lot of bodies around the rinks.
You had played a couple of games with the Ontario Reign this year, and of course Quentin Byfield was there. I got to ask, did you give him any jabs about the North Bay Sudbury rivalry at all?
No, I didn't actually. I should have, but I know he played with a couple guys from the Sioux on Sudbury, so that was pretty much the topic of our chats.
One other question I have, you mentioned you go back home to the Sioux in the off season. I had heard that you had been working out with one of the current Battalion players, David Campbell. What's your take on him, and what did you like from his game just working out with him?
Yeah, he can put the puck in the net, and that's one thing I took away from him. He works hard in the gym too, so he's doing all the right things and he's on the right path.
So that those first two seasons here in North Bay, we went through it in depth with Nick a little bit, and he was saying, talking about the TV shaking in the suites and everything, but just, the one question I have to ask everybody that played that first year that they were here, you guys were down 3-1 to Niagara. What was that like coming back in that series?
It was awesome. I mean, I don't think anyone in that room wanted to lose, so we kind of just came together, and it was a pretty special experience making it that far and how we did it.
Yeah, I feel like there's just a vibe in the room that we knew we weren't losing. Like we just knew that we were going to come on top, and I don't know about you, Emil, but I just feel like that was the vibe. Like we weren't ready to go, and there's just something that we knew that we were gonna pull through.
Yeah, I agree. I think everyone just wanted to win so bad that we just came back.
Did you kind of did that vibe stay around for the entire run, or was it just for the Niagara series?
I think for the whole playoffs. I mean, I think we had a pretty close group of guys, and we all wanted to win, so it was a good run.
It's a shame it got to 3-1 in the first place.
Yeah,
like that must have been mildly disappointing. Like, crap, if we lose, we're done.
Yeah, we weren't really focused on losing too much. It was more winning. We didn't have that doubt in our mind. Everyone knew it was at stake, and we just focused on winning and how we can come through on top, and that's exactly what we did. I think that's what happens when you have such a close team. Everyone was rooting for each other and was pushing each other, and we did it together.
What's that kind of like when any little shot on net on the opposition's goalie becomes a chant by the fans of his last name, like especially against Brent Moran for Niagara, which was funny because then he ended up finishing his career in North Bay. So I don't know how he felt about that, but what's that kind of like? Any little shot or anything just becomes that chant.
I don't know. I think it's just cool. Like the playoffs, like Mike said before, it's just different. Everyone's going crazy, the chants. And it definitely helps us out and gets our momentum going and gets us fired up with the adrenaline. But yeah, just little things like that the fans do is just awesome and helps the game so much.
So you guys go on and you win the Eastern Conference that year as well. We got Nick's reaction as well, but anytime that you want to talk about it, I'm never going to say no. But Mike, just what was your reaction? Clock's ticking down after that Jamie Lewis goal.
Yeah, that game was awesome. I mean, so much emotions, especially coming down to the end. I almost didn't even realize like how big of a deal it was until the buzzer went, and then everyone was going crazy. So it was definitely something I'll never forget, and it was a cool experience to be a part of for sure.
So, also, you were also part of that last Brampton team with Nick, both of you. Just what was that move kind of like up north? I mean, obviously you're a northern guy yourself, Nick, from down in the area where the team was moving from, but just the move itself, what was that like?
It was different. I remember we were in Brampton the first year and we kind of stopped off at North Bay and was like, this is where you guys were playing next year. And it was kind of like, really? Like the rink wasn't ready yet. Nothing was really done. And we're in the parking lot. And we're like, oh man, well, this is definitely going to be a change. But we got there the next year and a lot more was done. The room was amazing. And the fans started coming out. Like I remember going like Burger World and fans are coming over and saying, we're so excited for you guys to play. Like, this is awesome. So just the whole feel of us getting there was unbelievable. And we were really excited to start playing hockey and winning some games in front of the fans.
How about you, Mike?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing what Paulie was saying. Just all the fans were super excited to have us. So it was fun to play in front of them. But yeah, it was just a little different, obviously, coming to a new city. It always is. You just got to kind of get accustomed to it, I guess.
Does it feel like, especially now that you both have kind of been through trades yourself, does it feel like a trade, but not really a trade type of thing? As weird as that might sound.
Sort of, I guess. Yeah. You're moving cities with like your teammates that you already know. So.
How important, Ammo, was it that first season to play maybe the first 9 games on the road in North Bay?
It was, yeah, it was, for the building.
Well, for you guys, like, was it important to bond, anything like that?
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a little bit hectic with because we were getting changed and practicing at a different rink in North Bay when we were home too. So there was a lot of moving parts, but all in all, I think starting on the road for sure helped the guys get a little more closer.
So we kind of ask this of all our guests, and it's kind of become a running thing, especially when it becomes, everyone hates Son Sudbury or Peterborough. But what was your least favorite and favorite places to play in the OHL?
My favorite was the Sioux. I feel like I always had a great game there. I don't know what it was. I just loved playing there. And then the worst, I don't think I really played good in Peterborough ever. And Sudbury, just that pesky wolf flying across every time.
How about you, Mike?
I'd say for the rink I didn't like playing in was probably Peterborough, just because like the boards and the glass, probably pretty much similar to what everyone else says about the rink there. But and then probably being able to play at home like against the Sea was pretty cool.
All right. Then at the NHL level, favorite and least favorite places.
I don't know if I have a least favorite.
Yeah, I don't have a least favorite either. They're all pretty awesome.
They're all pretty nice buildings. Yeah.
Most
New
unique
York and LA are up there for most fun.
What about like the most unique place to play, where it's just different?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard Vegas puts on a pretty good show.
Yeah, I played once in Vegas last year and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, Vegas is pretty cool. I was there when the Kings played them in playoffs. When it was Vegas's first year actually too, and it was in warm-ups. The music was so loud, like you couldn't even hear your own thoughts building. Like it was crazy.
Who has the better goal horn, Mike? The Kings or the Senators?
I feel like that's a loaded question.
Well, no, it's just they both sound so different.
I think I like the Sens. Yeah.
Well, that's fair.
That's fair.
I got to tell you, so we mentioned this to Nick the last time we were on, because he had just come off that. Well, we don't like to talk about it, but that game where the Sens came back from the 5-1 deficit about the Leafs. But as a Leaf fan going to a Sens game, I hate your goal horn. It's awful. Worst goal horn. I can't stand it. I mean, if I was a Sens fan, it's probably the greatest thing in the world, but yeah, no.
I love the jerseys this year, though.
Yeah, those jerseys.
They do a good job.
Yeah, the jerseys are awesome this year. They're sweet.
Like,
I'm not ashamed to say that as an avid Leafs fan, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you guys have the best jerseys, if not in the league, but definitely in the North Division for sure.
Yeah.
Those blacks are so crisp, and the reds too.
The blacks and the reds are really nice.
I'm not a big white jersey guy in general. Like any team is just kind of
nice.
But yeah, even though like all three of them are really good.
Yeah.
What's that kind of like? I know we talked about it a little bit before, but what's that like? You hear redesigns coming and then you get those type of thing.
It's exciting. Obviously it brings a little spark and a little excitement to the team coming in. You got new jerseys, new threads, and they look awesome. Putting them on, you feel good. They look sweet. I don't know. It's just an excitement and adding more, not to the game, but just adding more excitement to the team.
What about you, Mike? The first time you're putting on that jersey is nice, crisp look.
Yeah, no, I really like the jerseys. It was pretty cool putting it on for the first time. But yeah, they do look really nice.
What would okay? Let's play a little game here that is probably going to end up ending poorly. The Sens current jersey or the Battalion jersey?
I feel like the Battalion jersey is just so unique.
That's
Like,
fair.
goalies can't even get their pads printed with that color on it. It's so unique.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, we had.
I've always wanted to ask Abbott about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of makes sense though when you think about it, the military green. But when we had current Battalion goalie Joe Verbetic on, he said he was getting new pads, but he said it was tough because he always wanted to make them green. But he's like, you can't; they're either too bright or too dark. And even when we had Jake Smith on, he said the same thing. So it's like, you know, you just picked the wrong shade of green, I guess.
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we really appreciate the time today. It's been wonderful to catch up with you again, Nick, and to meet you, Mike. And, you know, good luck the rest of the way in the NHL season this year. I know it's coming out. It's coming to an end here soon, but no, we really appreciate you guys taking the time. Yeah. Only guys we're rooting for on the Sens, though. We'll tell you that much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And Stutzel. I got him in my fantasy as well, so I gotta root for him.
We'll take it.
Thanks so much, guys.
We got to say thanks to Nick Paul and Mike Amadio for joining us in the front line today. And before we go and we say our goodbyes, we got to mention the draft and its minor intricacies being announced this week. And we're going to have some more special guests to talk about that in our next episode to really break it down and figure out what the Battalion are doing. But in the meantime, yeah, Courtney, they're announcing a draft lottery system. And it's not going to be weighted. Like, remember when the NHL did their lockout and they did, the worst teams have a better chance. The worst teams of the last 2 or 3 years, whatever it was, have a better chance at getting the first overall pick. Well, apparently that's just gone out the door.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it? Like, I think on one hand, it's the only way to really kind of do it with a lost season because nobody played. But at the same time, if you
could have weighted it. I don't know. I feel like because, you know, I'm thinking like, what if a really good team like the 67s or something like that end up with that first overall pick, or London? You know, everybody was thinking that.
Well,
and Niagara doesn't have a first round pick this year. So what if they win?
Well, did you, I don't know. So on Twitter, the London Knights actually took a screen grab of a bunch of people saying London's getting the first overall pick. And they tweeted, breaking, we're apparently drafting first overall. And I thought that was pretty funny of them to do that. So
I'll admit, I like it when they poke fun at themselves. I enjoy it.
Yeah, me too. It's pretty good. And I mean, is London going to draft first overall? Well, they have as equal a chance as any other team, right? But here's my conspiracy theory. Here's my theory that I think is what's going to happen. So as you mentioned, Niagara doesn't have their first overall pick. So if the league is really going to give it to London, which I'm not saying they're going to, but if the league's really going to give it to London, they want to avoid a PR hellstorm. Niagara wins the lottery. London gets the second overall pick.
Like what a cop out that would be.
Oh, we forgot Niagara doesn't have their pick. Oops.
I would be out, and it's nothing against like the talent of the kids, because there's some good kids.
Oh yeah,
picked at the bottom of rounds or at the top of the second round all the time. Look at the Battalion stuff. I mean,
Justin Brazeau, 13th round.
Brazeau, or even Wakely recently.
Yep.
Right, guys who fall and are still good players. It's nothing against them, but it wouldn't. I would have a sour taste in my mouth if the Battalion ended up picking. I guess it would be 19th this year.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, come on. And then what happens with the import draft? That'll be curious, because I don't think we're getting Guskov back.
No,
there's a lot of questions we have to have answered here when we get. I'm hoping we're going to talk to Adam Dennis, obviously, about this, and maybe John Winstanley, because I got to know. I got to pick their brains, because I'm sure everybody may be thinking the same way I am. But I'm afraid of draft busts, because a lot can change for a 15-year-old kid in a year.
Yeah,
a lot.
Well, they're not. So Guskov obviously isn't coming because he went to the KHL, but Petrov is still able to come here. Whether or not an NHL team drafts him this year and doesn't want him to come, that's a different story, but Petrov still can. However, when it comes to the Guskov trade, the Battalion get those picks back that they sent to London.
Yeah, isn't the conditions in draft picks magical nowadays?
Oh, it absolutely is. So you don't have to worry about the draft picks that were sent for Guskov. You just have to worry. But the nice thing though for Petrov is he actually played this year. He actually played in the MHL, right? So he did get a season under his belt. And from all accounts that I've heard, he wants to come. He really wants to come and play in North Bay. Again, it just becomes if he gets drafted this year by an NHL team, they hold, where he goes. They say, well, no, we're going to send you to the AHL now or something, or we want you to keep developing in Russia. So that comes down to that. One of your previous points, though, about if say a team like the 67s got the draft pick, well, you could argue this year would have been probably their last of their window before all their players were gone.
Yeah. So that's a guarantee. So they might have been.
Yeah. Well, I mean, depending on where Jack Quinn plays, if he had made the NHL or something, like he's their big star. So something like that, this could really kind of jumpstart the next phase for the Ottawa 67s or the London Knights or whoever. That said, I mean, I won't cover it in sugar. I won't sprinkle sugar over all. The Battalion haven't been good the last 3 or 4 years. They have not. They've made the playoffs. They've petered out and all that stuff. They have not been a good hockey team. So I agree in the sense that a weighted system should have worked because not just because I'm a Battalion fan and we do a Battalion podcast, but would have been nice to see them get, another top 5 pick.
Well, and they might still.
Yeah, they could very well.
Right?
Yeah.
What I want to pick the drafting department, if you will, of the team is like, because usually by the time the season winds down, you kind of can gauge and be like, okay, I'm going to pick 4th overall. So then you start to cater like to that 4th overall pick, right? You maybe narrow it down to 2 or 3 people, and you can go and try and recruit, if you will. But now, do you have to recruit 20 guys, or try your best at it?
Well, the nice thing is the draft lottery is about a month before the draft, right? But it still only gives you a month to try and recruit the guy. And also the other part that's tough about it, and I know Adam's touched vaguely on it when we've talked to him before, is we talk about how, they should push back the NHL draft because they haven't been able to scout the players. Well, these guys haven't been able to scout these players either. You're going off draft that's a year old or video that's a year old now, So
it's about 400 scouts in attendance at the World Under-18s going on right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they just threw social distancing outside the window in that.
Well, it's in Texas.
That would do it. That would do it.
Although I would be remiss, he isn't a Battalion player, but I would be remiss if we didn't mention Ben Gaudreau, the goaltender of the Sarnia Sting, who's from North Bay. He's playing at those World Under-18, so good for Ben.
They really got a win against Latvia today, so congratulations, Ben.
Yeah, no, he's doing a heck of a job. He played really good for Sarnia last year too. Especially.
I agree.
And you don't normally, speaking of the draft, you don't normally see a goalie go in the top 10 in the OHL draft. And he went in the top 10. So like,
you're usually pretty damn good if that happens.
I mean, I like Joe Verbetic in net here with the Battalion, and I wouldn't trade him for the world, but Ben Gaudreau, he's a pretty good goalie, and he's a local boy, so you got to cheer for him even. And what? There's been no Battalion hockey to cheer for this year, so I don't feel bad cheering for a Sarnia Sting goaltender right now.
I'll take any North Bay flavor I can get at this point.
Yeah. You know what? I remember the first time I saw Ben play, it was at Memorial Gardens, actually. He was playing for the North Bay Trappers with Reese Prue, and the two of them split the game, and it was the final game. I don't understand all the minor tournaments and stuff, but it was the year that they went undefeated or whatever, and they restarted the game. And at the 10-minute mark of the second period, he was taken out for Ben in the finals, and he had it wasn't like performance or anything. It was just they just split the game. Yeah,
that's bold. I've never seen that.
No,
I guess it makes sense if you got two really good goalies, and you're not afraid. Somebody coming in cold is either going to stumble or whatever it is. Hey, geez, more power to you. Plus, it gets them both into the finals. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was great, and I think that was the draft year for at least Reese. Anyways, it wasn't. I don't think it was Ben's yet, but I just remember because I had heard all about this Reese Prue kid, and so I was watching him, and I was, oh, who's this Ben Gaudreau kid, type of thing. And Reese is a good goalie in his own right. And then Ben came out and I was like, oh my God, Ben's pretty good too. And he's, and he's gone on to prove it at the OHL level. It's kind of a shame for Reese this year that he hasn't been able to prove it, because this, he would have been the backup to Joe this year and maybe tried to steal some starts. And it's just a shame, the whole entire way you look at it, the cancellation of the season, although it was needed at this point. But anyways, so I'm excited in a long roundabout rambling way. I'm excited to see how the lottery shakes out on Wednesday.
This is a giant tease for our upcoming episode. Basically.
Pretty much. Yeah,
Next week, we're talking to, I know we're going to be talking to Adam Dennis. I'd like to get John Winstanley on, and anybody else we can pick their brains when it comes to scouting. It's going to be an awesome time. Yeah,
anyone that we can talk to that can kind of explain it to us, and help us bring it towards you guys, our listeners, who have the same questions but might not have the resources to be able to ask it. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. Get the answers that you guys want, because there's so many questions right now, right? So
that there is, and we are never tired of talking about the battalion, and that's why we are happy to help you. All right, what do you say we wrap it up and we come back next time?
Sounds good. I look forward to it.
Well, hey, listen, we got to thank again our guests, Nick Paul, Mike Amadio, who rejoined and joined us for the first time today. If you're watching this on, well, you know what? Hold on. Ben Sargent is our awesome producer. We would be remiss if we couldn't mention him and how awesome he makes us sound every time we get a chance to. But you can see us in a lot of different places now. Anytime Battalion posts on social media, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, you name it, you can find us there, Battalion social media. We're also on Google Podcast, Apple Music, and Spotify. That's the other one. And you can watch us on your TV. And if you're watching us on your TV, you can get the full podcast where I just said. So he's Courtney Kenny. I'm Tom Parisi. This was really fun, and we got to do it again sometime.